Hello and welcome back to the Children Need the Way podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Innes, and today I'm joined by Jade Farrington, a disabled neurodivergent counsellor and trauma therapist who works gently alongside families to support safety, healing, inclusion, and neuro-affirming practice. Jade, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me on. It was fantastic the work you're doing, so it was wonderful to be invited.
So, for those of you that don't know Jade, she has a wealth of knowledge and content. She puts hours into creating and bringing it together in her neurodiversity newsletter on her Facebook page. I'd encourage you to check it out, Jade Farrington. Jade, so I'm just going to jump right in there. We've talked now for some time about the struggles and the hard situations neurodivergent families are facing, whether it's mental health, accessing education, burnout. As someone who regularly supports families in these situations, what would you say to those families right now in the thick of it?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, isn't it? And so we'll firstly ignore anything that doesn't feel right for you and your family. So trust your instinct, look into it more if you can. And you don't have to accept anything that isn't going to work for you. You'll probably be utterly depleted, not have the kind of capacity to parent as you'd like to. And that's okay. That's the reality. It doesn't mean you have to agree with the situation or believe it's okay. It's just accepting it as it is. That doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. That doesn't mean you're okay with it being that way, but not fighting against it.
Oh, thank you, Jade. You brought up so much. It's almost be gentle with yourself through that process, isn't it?
I think it's Maya Angelou talks about kind of when we know better, we can do better. Do the best you can with what you have. Of course, things are never going to be perfect. We're human. Perfect doesn't exist. But we can keep kind of trying to strive each day to do the best we can. That we all make mistakes and do things we regret as parents.
And kind of just to appreciate that, I think releases this huge pressure we put on ourselves as parents. I mean, many parents right now may be struggling to leave the house, feeling isolated, that lack of connection.
Yeah, I mean, it's so different for each family. Not everything's accessible to everyone, particularly if your child's deeply burnt out and not able to access any of that. But there's connection with others online can make a huge difference. Even finding others who who get it can be really validating. Really, just connecting with what you can, finding that community where you can.
Do you talk a little bit about why you think a neuro-affirming approach, especially for kind of the neurodivergent children, um, who are maybe experiencing mental health issues, trauma, why is that so important?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a neuro-affirming approach is really important for everyone because if you're working against someone's neurology, then you're disabling them and you're putting unnecessary barriers in place. So anyone's going to struggle with that. But it's going to be especially hard for people who are also dealing with lots of other challenges at the same time, such as trauma, mental health difficulties, or anything else that's kind of going on for them. So neuronormativity was a term coined by John Lardus Modern quite recently in 2021. Basically, it's the idea that there's kind of a right way to think, to act, to exist in the world. So some children get the message that almost every little thing about them is wrong. And neuro-affirming spaces, like your provision, do away with the idea that there's this correct way to be, and support each individual as they are. So that hopefully means that children feel safer, they can start to regain connection with themselves and then with others as well. And that can make a huge difference.
What kind of small things can we do as parents and as educators to help these children feel more safe in the spaces that they're in?
So to really listen to the child and follow their lead. Earlier I mentioned being that island of safety, and I'm talking about being that safe place, that safe person for the child, building connection and trust, really accepting your child's experience as they say it is, even if it's very different to yours, very different to how it feels like it should be. Just protects them and apologizes when you get it wrong, which you will do, we all do, but that can be so healing.
That kind of apologizing, repairing, it's so fundamental, isn't it? And I think you said such an insightful comment there, Jade, which is about kind of letting go of those expectations or whatever your kind of opinion is of their situation, and without an expectation perhaps to change it or to move it on, just being in that moment and accepting it with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and yeah, just that act of kind of that experience of being heard, being genuinely met and understood, even when someone can't do anything about it, can't fix it, can be hugely healing in itself, and and it may be one of the few times that child has felt accepted and acceptable to those around them.
Thank you, Jade, for coming on today and sharing this really insightful information that I know will help a lot of people. And for those of you out there that are going through incredibly hard situations, I hope today's talk brought you some comfort and that you are doing everything, I'm sure, that's possible, and to provide yourself with a little bit of kindness today.